So our first segment tonight is the county council races. So I'd like to call forward our panelists, and I'd like to call forward Mr. Meffley, Mr. Harmer, and Jackie Gregory to take the seats, please. So let me introduce our panelists tonight. First, we have Ms. Jennifer Barkley, first grade teacher at Holly Hall Elementary School. We have Ms. Angie Rutherford, director of sales and special events at Schaefer's Canal House, and Ms. Beth Creek, executive director of Youth Empowerment Source. Let's begin with District 1. As I said earlier, Mr. Meffley does not have an opponent. So we're going to give him 3 minutes to introduce themselves. And Bob, tell us a little bit about why you're running and what you hope to accomplish, please.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to thank this thing echoes a lot, doesn't it? I would like to thank the Classroom Teacher Association, Business and Education Partnership Advisory Board, and the Cecil County Chamber of Commerce Government Relations Committee for sponsoring this primary candidate election forum. Give the public an opportunity to meet the candidates and listen to their responses and the issues facing Cecil County. For me, it's an honor to be here today.
Move the mic closer.
Yes.
Better?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. It's an honor to be here today. I was elected Cecil County Council in District 1 in 2016. In 2018, I was selected to the County Council as the County Council President. The charter states the council shall act as a body, and it's my role to preside at all the council meetings, to set the agendas, to work to build cooperative and communication with council members and the administration. And in the past 4 years, the council has supported legislatives to improve our roads and bridges, fund public school improvements, preserve agriculture, support our volunteer fire companies, approve balance in county budgets based on sound financial management, ensure public schools have secured entrances, and build a new school in Chesapeake City, in Elkton, the Northeast Library, Calvert Park, Brantwood, and last but not least, 3 turf fields in our high schools. Our county budget revenues appear bright. Cecil County led in economic growth, medium-sized counties at 11% economic growth. Our fund balance has been restored through good financial planning. Our AA+ county bond rating allows us to borrow at a favorable interest rate. One looming concern is how we may fund the recommendations of the Kerwin Commission. Dr. Jess Lawson, school superintendent, has indicated that the increase in the county's wealth and the decrease in school enrollment may reduce state funding. As council president, my role is to find common ground to achieve successful results. I firmly believe that the path we choose in life is by a greater design. I know that we're meant to learn from the people that we meet, as well as from our successes and failures, and the many challenges we face each day. If we work together as Cecil Countyans, we can accomplish great things. And remember, this is very important, that we're a lot more alike than we are different. I want to say thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for the support, and listen very closely to your candidates. Thank you.
Mr. Meffley, you're now free to sit in the audience and listen, and thank you for those remarks. So next we're going to go to the 2 candidates for District 5. Candidates will be given 1 minute for self-introductions.
2 minutes.
2 minutes for self-introduction, and then 2 minutes for the answering the questions. All right, you got that right. So, Ms. Gregory, we'll begin with you, please.
I want to first thank the Chamber, BPAC, and the CCCTA for hosting this tonight, and thank you all for coming out. And I also want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as your councilwoman for the past 3.5 years. It's been a complete privilege, and I've really enjoyed it. I fell in love with Cecil County after working at Sandy Cove during the summer of my sophomore year of college and have been living here for the past 24 years with my 3 children. I have a master's in education. I've worked as a public school teacher, an online teacher, a homeschooling mom, and a substitute teacher. I'm running for re-election for several reasons. 2 passions of mine are education and politics. For me, these 2 things go hand in hand because for us to continue to have a prosperous, free country, we must have educated citizens. I enjoy getting to know people and their concerns and trying to help in our community. We need more women in politics, especially conservative women. As a conservative woman, I offer a unique perspective on council. I'm an average citizen and an independent voice. As a middle-class working mom of 3, I'm not well-connected or wealthy, so I look at issues based on the impact they will have on you, the citizens. I work 3 jobs so I can do this and support my kids. I know that I work for you, not the administration or a group of lobbyists, so I'm not a rubber stamp on the county executive's policies. I ask questions and do my research to find out how policies will affect the citizens. I kept my promise to grow jobs, support lower taxes, and accountable spending. When the executive imposed 4 separate tax increases, I voted against all of them, while my opponent, who was a Democrat up until this election, lobbied for them. Because I'm not a rubber stamp, the county executive and the Cecil business leaders asked multiple Democrats to switch parties to run against me. Moving forward, we need to conquer the opioid crisis, attract better paying, diverse jobs, provide more opportunities in the trades, and make sure our economic growth benefits everyone, not just the well-connected. I support accountable, responsible government. We have had budget surpluses thanks to the great economy facilitated by President Trump, as well as our partnership with the Hogan administration.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Harper, you have 2 minutes, please.
Are we going to bounce around? Everybody hear me? All right, so interest in eating already. So good evening, everyone. My name is Don Harmer. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. So we're just 61 days from the primary, almost the end of this journey. And tonight we're going to find a little bit about everyone on both sides, exec and here at the council. So what's their message? Is it hope and aspiration, or is it fear and division? I'll take hope and aspiration. I want a better quality of life for here in Cecil County. That's my focus. I want to leave things better than how I found them. Most of you know me already. Working as a volunteer, as an employer, building businesses, creating jobs and helping people, trying to leave things better than I found them. I've returned 2 struggling businesses back to multi-million-dollar status. It's 10 years on your Parks Board, where Parks and Rec has come such a long way, and now it's better than when I found it. 6 years with Drug-Free Cecil, a group that has received national recognition. Now, for us to find that higher quality of life, we have to address our most pressing issues: opioid, substance use disorder, mental health crisis wound together, dramatically affecting our families, our schools, our workforce, and our economic viability. We have to attack our major issues with effective resources to meet that challenge. Support education for our children, especially our youngest, pre-K to 5, to provide and promote avenues to healthy lifestyles, equip our law enforcement, first responders, and recovery providers properly to deal with the crisis. Plenty of other priorities. We need to bring higher paying jobs back into the county. We need to attract new businesses, be responsible with our tax dollars, protect our agricultural assets, and preserve our rural character, work to reduce homelessness and poverty. We have a lot to consider. We have a lot to leave better than we found it. Thank you again for listening.
Thank you. So now we'll go to the round of questions. The questions will be projected on the big screen and 2 monitors. And for the candidates, the time clock is over here, and you can see Mario as well. There'll be 6 questions, 6 rounds if you would. And the first question will be asked by Ms. Creek, Ms. Gregory, and then Mr. Harmon. So Ms. Creek.
All right, Ms. Gregory first. April 1st is the deadline for the county executive to present the proposed fiscal year budget to the county council for review and adoption. What criteria will you apply to determine if you will support, propose amendment, or oppose the adoption of the budget?
Thank you. I look at the budget very deeply every year. I compare budget from one budget to the next budget. I think it's important to see trends, to look at where our needs are, to see where there's increases in spending, and to see places where we need to be more efficient. In the past, I know in the first year that I reviewed the budget, there was a $30 million increase in spending, and it was supported with tax increases. I think that over the past 2 budget cycles, we've had $15 million in surpluses, which I believe needs to go back to the taxpayers to grow our economy. We need an across-the-board tax cut. We don't need to keep growing government. We don't need to keep spending. We need to look for better ways to do things. And I don't believe that we've been the most efficient we can be. We need to look at our priorities, fund our roads and essential services, our public safety, and make sure that our amenities are funded with growth. Giving money back to the taxpayers as a Republican, I know actually improves growth. We see that through what Donald Trump did, what Governor Hogan did. Being more efficient, giving more money back into the local economy will support us having a better economy in the future.
Okay, thank you. That's great. You ask the same question. You'll ask the same question, Mr. Harmon, please.
April 1st is the deadline for the county executive to present the proposed fiscal budget to the county council for review and adoption. What criteria will you apply to determine if you will support, propose amendment, or oppose the adoption of the budget?
Since I haven't been on council, I haven't had the avenues that Ms. Gregory has had, but I have been there from the Parks Board of View. When you take a look at the particular budget, you look at what we are spending our money for, exactly what is the cost of cutting from the budget? What is the purpose of the county exec? Does it match the strategic plan? Is it, one of those particular goals? Does it go with the comprehensive plan? Is it in our long range greater good? Like I said, we want to leave things better than when we found them. So in each particular department, whether it's public safety, whether it's the health department, whether it's, excuse me, I already went to public safety. We need to take a peek. We need to see what the effect of is when we come. Before we do that, we need to ask all the questions. We spend, as a council, on the entire month going through every particular budget. We should have all the questions. We have access to the finance department, the budget manager. There's no reason that we can't vet each one of those expenditure categories and make sure that it's working the way it's supposed to work.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go next to the second round of questions be asked by Ms. Berkeley, and the question will go to Mr. Harmon.
Mr. Harmon, describe the role of the county council and how your election to the council will ensure that the proper role is fulfilled as intended by the charter.
Councils intended to work together as a unit. They're supposed to be diversified, but yet they're supposed to be collaborative with each other. They're supposed to be the check across the table for the county exec. For us to all work together, we need to have better decorum. We need to make sure that we respect that particular seat. We need to make sure that we all understand the issues and we discuss them fairly and openly, especially when we're in public session, especially when we're in the workshops. We need to make sure that we understand what everyone wants that's on the other side of this microphone, that's on the other side of these lights, and how that affects each one of us.
Okay. Same question, Ms. Gregory. Do you need the question repeated, or?
I think we're good. Over the last few years since I've been on council, we've had a very productive council. We have very diverse opinions and ideas, and we each bring something unique. And I think that's important to respect each other's differences. In our role on council, one of the most important things we do as a legislative body, because we are separate but equal from the executive, is we serve as checks and balances. So it's really important for us, when we get information presented to us, that we examine, that we're able to get information, that we have a good relationship with the administration, so we are getting the proper information, and we need to do our research. We should not be rubber stamps on the administration, but we should work with them on your behalf, because all of our job is to represent you. We work for you. We don't work for each other. And that's something we need to remember. We're your representatives, and we are the first person that you call when you have an issue, and then we can take it to the administration, and that's really what we do on council.
Okay, thank you. So we go to the third round of question. Will be asked of Ms. Rutherford, and the question will go to Ms. Gregory.
Ms. Gregory, the largest segment of the county operating budget is allocated for education. Included in this allocation are the public school system, public library system, and Cecil College. Does the Cecil County operating budget provide the sufficient funding for our local education institutions? Please provide rationale. Are the graduates of Cecil County Public Schools and Cecil College career-ready or college-ready?
Okay, I'm going to offer a little different perspective because as a teacher, I've been in our schools and I have a lot of background in education. I've been in Hartford County Public Schools. I've worked in Pennsylvania years back. And we're going to be dealing with Kerwin, which is a $1 billion state policy. I've seen a lot of changes in education over the years, all costing a lot of money and promising to make a difference in education. Locally, I think we've been responsible in our education budget. But as we move forward with Kerwin, that is another unfunded mandate, and there's enormous things that are left out. I know we have an issue with getting teachers and retaining them, and I'll tell you, I've been in our schools, and our teachers are phenomenal. They do an awesome job. But over the years, something that's changed in accountability, while teachers have got more accountability, there's been less on students. Students are passed through without having to achieve mastery of the materials that they are supposed to achieve, and often discipline problems are left in the classroom, and teachers are expected to handle these things, but a lot of their tools have been taken away. I think we need to empower teachers, and that'll make a big difference in education and helping our kids all to be able to profit from the classroom without disruptions, and making sure that every step of the way that they're achieving the goals that they need to achieve. As I said, I do believe that we have done a good job locally. We're going to have some challenges moving forward, and I'll tell you, Kerwin for every household is going to cost $600 extra dollars per year on your home in an average household in Cecil County.
Okay, thank you. Same question, Mr. Harmer. Mr. Harmer, you need the question repeated.
Please.
Okay.
Mr. Harmer, the largest segment of the county operating budget is allocated for education. Included in this allocation are the public school system, public library system, and Cecil College. Does the Cecil County operating budget provide sufficient funding for our local education institutions? Please provide rationale. Are the graduates of Cecil County Public Schools and Cecil College career-ready or college-ready?
CCPS, the library, and the college all should be working in concert for us to be, for the kids to be career-ready, not just college-bound like they used to be, but career-ready. Kerwin, yes, we'll have to wait to see what that looks like. We're going to end up with a Kerwin light. But the real issue is this is 51% of our county budget. One of the issues that the school system's having now is we're the second in special needs students. 17% of the student body hits in that special needs. That takes extra resources. Also, the wealth formulas are affecting the way our schools are being funded. As we improve the quality of our county, as we improve the quality of life, our property values go up, the formulas adversely affect that. Funding has to be found to replace that, whether it comes from the state level or from our pockets here is yet to be seen. We're going to have to let this play out as we get to closer to the end when Kerwin and what they decide, and then we'll have to figure out where we go from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll go to a question in round 4. The question will be asked by Ms. Creek, and Mr. Harmer, you'll go first, please. Yeah.
Mr. Harmer, what do you believe are the most significant public safety issues that must be confronted? Please explain your answer.
I believe in my opening statement, our biggest public safety issue is the opioid substance use disorder and the intertwining of the mental health issues that are affecting our community. It doesn't matter what our age is, our school children are finding, they have trauma that's coming along now. This is part of the special needs student increase on our school. It's affecting our families. We now have, of course we have the traditional family, 2-parent, 1 parent. Now we have incarcerated parent, we have deceased parent, we have children being raised by their grandparents. On the streets, the health department deals with patterns of thought, the sheriff's department deals with committed deeds. Both of them have slightly different focuses, but they're working for our community health. They have different issues, different funding problems. Those are the people that we need to put these resources behind and our support. So your opioid, substance use disorder, and your mental health situation is our greatest public safety threat.
Okay, thank you. Same question to Ms. Gregory. Do you need the question repeated?
No.
Good.
I would agree that opioids are our biggest dilemma we're facing when it comes to public safety. And it's not just public safety, it affects all areas of our community: health, first responders, education, criminal justice, law enforcement, social services. And there are very few people, probably even here, who have not been impacted by this in a personal way. And I would say over the past few years since I've been on council, we have made great strides in bringing community organizations together to tackle this, but we have to be in this for the long haul. There is no easy solution, or it would have been taken care of already. I think some of the keys are education, because prevention is easier than treatment. And I have to commend, yes, Youth Empowerment Source, who's been a leader on this. They've been getting our young people involved, and I think that is the key, is getting the youth involved and being good peer representatives for their fellow classmates and being positive influences. As far as treatment, we've come some distance in having services available, but it's really important when a person is in crisis that you have that service readily available, and we need to work on that. I know some other counties have mobile crisis teams that if someone is having an issue, the mobile crisis team can actually come and work with that person. Another thing that would be helpful to us would be accountability for overdoses, tracking those people and not just letting them go back home or wherever they go and possibly overdose again, but following up with them. We need to really reach out to these people. And another huge part of this is reintegration into the community, from whether they've been in rehab or jail, because that's a huge barrier for people going back into the community. Is once they have that issue and they go back out, they don't have a job, they don't have a place to go, they have a lot of time on their hands, and they fall right back into it. So we need to have those support structures there, and there are some organizations that are doing that, like STEPS and Voices of Hope. And I will say I do oppose the needle handout program, although I understand it. I think it sends mixed messages and that there's a lot of negative aspects of it.
Okay. So we move next to round 5, question 5. Question will be asked by Ms. Berkeley, and the question will go to you, Ms. Gregory.
Ms. Gregory, the availability of recreational facilities and programs for citizens of all ages is a wellness and quality of life consideration. Do you agree with this statement? Do you believe the current recreational facilities and programs available in the county are adequate? Explain, please.
I believe we've done a lot to expand parks, and I do agree that parks are an amenity that people look for, that they want. People need places, safe places to go with their families. I know I've taken my kids to the playground lots of times when they were younger. And as kids get older, they need recreational activities that helps keep them out of trouble. So yes, I do believe that that's an important thing. I think it's important that when we are spending money on parks, that we're doing it wisely. And I'll give you a couple examples. So far, Brantwood it's a beautiful park so far. And I know we're not finished developing it, but we've only spent like $325,000 on it. That's a nice community park. You take something like Calvert Park, which largely serves people outside the community. When that was originally conceived, it was supposed to be a $6 million park. As of last year, we spent $10 million. We're slotted to spend another $3 million this year. The whole idea behind that was it was supposed to be like a business model. It was supposed to bring in revenue. By 2018, it was supposed to bring in $500,000. It only brought in $103,000. It's not even covering its costs for maintenance, much less the $1 million debt service that we owe on it every year. So while that, I would say, community park is a good thing for our citizens, I don't think government should be entering into these business ventures that are losing money and that we're having to fund, that are largely to serve people outside of the county. And I've been very vocal about that. And I just think we need a lot more accountability for it to go from $6 million to $13 million over a couple years, and nobody to raise a red flag about it or find out why it's not following the business plan and what we can do to improve it. I think that's an issue.
Okay, very good, thank you. Same question to Mr. Harmer. Would you like the question repeated?
Yes.
Okay.
The availability of recreational facilities and programs for citizens of all ages is a wellness and quality of life consideration. Do you agree with this statement? Do you believe the current recreational facilities and programs available in the county are adequate? Explain, please.
since the question is about our programming and the park offerings straight up, we are not quite there yet. We have, over the last 5 or 6 years, developed 3 new parks. We have went to a regionalization effort so that we can include the entire community, surrounded around each one of the public school systems, so that everybody could have access to healthy lifestyles, have access to the parks, have access to programming through Parks and Rec. It's one of the pillars of solving our #1 issue, which both of us have agreed on, is the substance use disorder and the opioid situation, which is breaking down the families. It's the park system and the recreational programming offering is key to developing the family life back for all age groups, all economic levels. We just can't throw that particular situation away. It's also part of the amenities. When people come to move, they look at schools. When they come to decide they want to buy in the county, they look at schools, they look at park amenities, and these are the highest scoring parts for them because they want that healthy lifestyle. They want that quality of life venture to be here for them. So it is absolutely essential. Are we there where we want to be? I don't think we're quite there yet. Facility-wise, we will have to take our steps as we see them and be prudent, but the answer for me is no, we're not quite there yet.
Okay, thank you. So next we go to round 6 question, and the last question be asked by Ms. Rutherford, and the question will go first to Mr. Harmer.
Mr. Harmer, the citizens of Cecil County followed state prescribed procedures to create and adopt a comprehensive plan to guide development within county borders. What is your assessment of the current comprehensive plan? Do you believe that there is need for change? If yes, what?
I like the comprehensive plan we have. It's a living document. We can change and amend it as it meets in with the strategic plan, which the county exec will have to follow. Really the balance between land uses. It's really competing needs between agricultural preservation, between keeping the rural character and deciding where our growth corridors are going to be. We have to decide what we're going to give up for growth, what those areas are going to be for higher density population, and we have to decide how much land we're going to set aside for our future, for our sustainable agriculture. One day, and I've said this before, one day, 10 years from now, we may have to source all of our food. We may have to source these particular issues, and we're going to need those rural areas and that farmland, to feed us and to take care of us. Economic development inside the growth corridor is key for commercial tax base to keep your property taxes from raising. We need that particular money to keep the expenses down and to drive the county.
Okay. Thank you. So, thank both of you for your answers. Sorry, I hit myself.
It's okay. All right, I would agree that our comprehensive plan is a very well thought out document. It has our growth in the growth corridor where it's supposed to occur, and that's where we've been focusing our growth over the past few years. There's a lot of protection for farmland, and we are a right to farm state. So it's important that we protect our farms. They are a very valuable part of our economy in Cecil County, one of the most important parts of our economy. I do think that we do need to continue to grow businesses, and we need to look for, as we follow our comprehensive plan, we need to look for better paying jobs and diversified jobs coming into the county. And I think that the promise of lower taxes needs to be realized and start to be carried out, because that was one of the promises of bringing businesses in, that it would alleviate the burden of taxes on the rest of the citizens that are living here, and also give more opportunities for them to work right where they live instead of having to leave the county. So I think that's important, and I continue to support economic development and growth in our growth corridor.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to your summary remarks. Each of the candidates will have 1 minute. Mr. Harmer, you'll go first, please.
I'll just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm hoping that you're able to walk away with a little more familiar with my stance on the issues and the priorities for the county. Did not have a lot of time tonight to go through that and to work them in depth. If you have questions, please reach out to me. Happy to sit down and chat with you, but I hope you share my desire for a higher quality of life in Cecil County. And you realize we have the ability to create great opportunities here for all of us, and that I can help us get there. So in 61 days, April 28th, I would like to have your vote. So thank you very much.
Ms. Gregory.
There is really only one Republican on the ballot. I'm a lifelong Republican who has supported Republican values. My opponent was a Democrat until this election, and he was recruited to support the executive's tax and spending increases. While I voted against a $30 million spending increase and tax increases imposed by the executive, my opponent was publicly lobbying for them. I know that the money you lost could have been used for Christmas, a car repair, or some meals at a local restaurant with your family. I have stood up for property rights by opposing the costly sewer mandate the executive supported. As a representative to Mako, I have informed council about state legislation and stood up for your Second Amendment rights. I'm an independent voice who is not affiliated with a lobbying organization. The executive and his team are desperate to hold on to power and will stop at any level to accomplish this. They have resorted to publicly attacking my work as a substitute teacher. However, I will not be bullied by their liberal tactics into supporting tax increases or policies that work against you, the citizens. If you want someone to represent your interests,
Thank you.
then I'm your candidate.
Okay. I'd like another round of applause for our candidates. And especially like to thank Beth, Jennifer, and Angie for serving as the panelists. So all of you are dismissed. You're free to stay here, and we'll move next to our next segment, the Board of Education and our two candidates.